This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you by O.O.D.A Ministries. Freedom. The word alone elicits strong feelings of pride and comfort. That's because it's more than a word. Freedom is something that everyone longs to have in many areas of life. At O.O.D.A Ministries, it's at the focal point of all they do. The word liberté means freedom, and so they strive to help those in Haiti find freedom in education, in economic self-sufficiency, and most importantly, freedom in Christ. Liberté works with 23 congregations of the Lord's people in Haiti and operates 2 schools that have a combined attendance of 600 students. They also have the Haiti School of Biblical Studies, a 4-year college that not only provides crucial training for preachers, but also for teachers and other church leaders. In addition, there is Harry's Home, a children's home that sees to the physical, emotional, and spiritual needs of many children. Go to TravisLovesHaiti.com for more information on how you can help spread the good news of Jesus in Haiti.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis, brought to you by lads2leaders.com. It's a great program. Be sure to go check it out. It'll be great for your church. A couple weeks ago, had a great convention, I hear. Yeah, good deal. We are
a few months ago now.
A few months ago.
Yeah.
Wow, man, time flies.
It does.
We're already,
Speaking of which,
getting ready for our Battlefield 5K.
Yep.
Coming up this Saturday. You can still register. You can run on your own. You come join us at Mars Hill Bible School. All proceeds will benefit St. Jude. We'd love to have you show up. We'll be running at 7:30 a.m. at Mars Hill. Like I said, virtually you can run wherever you want, when you want, or not run at all. You just want to give $50 to St. Jude. You want a T-shirt. You want a medal. We'll do our best to make that happen. And the summer rolls on, and as you can hear behind us, we are out in the great wilderness, the great wild. How do you go
wild?
that?
We're in the woods a little bit at Maywood Christian Camp. So
what we agree is the best, or at least one of the greatest places on earth. We are tired. It is Friday night of camp. We're going home tomorrow. If my
That's what I was
truck
going
will
to say.
jump off.
Speaking of time flying, it feels like we just got here and some of our friends have already left, and everybody else will be leaving in the morning.
The tradition, I'm not sure how far back it goes, of the Golden Goggles Award has happened. Ben handed those out. I was sports director, so we sponsored some stickers for our volleyball and kickball teams who won the champions. So shout out,
painted Golden Goggles.
Shout out to the La Chickens for winning the volleyball tournament, coming back through the losers bracket, winning, and then the Quilted Quicker Picker Uppers for winning kickball. But we wanted to jump on, and I thought something neat. Ben taught, what age group did you teach all week?
I had the 16-year-olds all week, and then I accumulated the 15-year-olds as our friend Will Mahan, who is usually on the podcast, is on a flight as we're recording right now on his way to Africa.
Yeah.
And he took a plane down to Africa.
It's pretty
good.
Thought
I had to throw that in there.
Pretty good.
So he's going on a mission trip, and so I took his 15-year-olds. So the last 2 days, what do we have about, I guess, accumulated nearly 50 kids in our class, I guess, or 40-something.
And today we talked about fellowship, and you did a great class, and I threw in my ignorance from time to time. But the second session, we played a game. I think you called it Patriot, maybe?
Patriot. Yeah, it's a game I picked up from Lonnie Jones, the warrior poet, as we refer to him. And I've done that many times with a group. You guys that listen might have done that before. And so you basically just get in a circle and you point to someone and say Patriot. One person holds the flag, one person plays the flute, one person plays the drums. A little later you do an elephant with the ears and the...
And for those of you not watching the video, that's hand with your hands. You do drum, hold the flag, flute. Quick thinking.
It's tired. I forget that we're not all on video. So anyway, so we do that, and then we just kind of break it down. We debrief the game, and then we do that with other activities. But that's what we were doing.
And I participated, first time I've ever done it. And it was testing the senses, testing the reactions, testing yourself in the heat of the moment. And so you got, 5 seconds to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
So the person in the middle with the flag, and if they didn't, if they messed up or they did the wrong thing or it took them too long, they had to come and join the middle where everybody's looking at you. So the point is to stay out of the middle as long as you can, by reacting as fast as you can, and then also getting it right. And so then you went in and unpacked how that shows up in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a phrase that's called that I cannot get my head wrapped around because I've called it everything other than what the name is.
Is referred to as the O.O.D.A loop, and I don't remember if we've brought this up on the show before or not, but there is
the O.O.D.A
O.O.D.A loop, and
not the rapper Luda.
If I were where we had service, I would tell you the name of the person who came up with that, but I looked at that a little later. I've kind of learned it over time with Lonnie. And
y'all have a Google machine, probably.
Yeah. So you can look it up. My understanding is that at least some of it was from people who flew, jet fighter pilot planes. So
legit,
you're gonna have to
like
see
a Top Gun situation.
Yeah, like Top Gun. So what it stands for is observe, orient, decide, and act. So that's the O.O.D.A. Observe, orient, decide, act. And it's this loop that's kind of in your brain, or this thing that happens. So, military, if they throw a flashbang into a room, they're trying to disrupt the O.O.D.A loop. You can't, observe and orient as well. And by the time you try to decide and act, they've got you in handcuffs. They're trying to disrupt that. It was some of the article that I was reading was describing the fighter jets, and that they observe certain things even before they get up into the air. They learn what, identification of other jets and other things. They not only observe, but they orient themselves, kind of figure out what they're going to do. But then in the middle of the fight, they got to do a little bit more. They got to continue to observe and orient, and then make some snap decisions. And most people are not good at snap decisions. So I think that's where we kind of went back into that, is that it's really hard for us when we're doing anything really, unless we're training. If you guys have seen Top Gun, you know that there's a lot of training that goes into it. Even Tom Cruise made his people go through those trainings before the movie. So they're trained to make quick decisions because they're moving at a few hundred miles per hour. And then military are trained in it, but we're not all trained in making snap decisions. We kind of make our decisions. We've got a little bit longer to make most decisions. I just think usually we get in a hurry and we make bad decisions.
Yeah, I thought it was neat, the things that you connected in class as far as relationships and how people, and even it gets to the level of Satan may try to make us make the quick decisions. And one of the things that stood out to me was what you mentioned about, even with a 5 second, you can take a second. And sometimes our clock may be moving faster than it has to as well. We put ourselves under the gun or under the pressure, and really we've got at least a moment to take a deep breath and kind of get a little more information before we jump in. I noticed myself, I want to do it so quickly, but I didn't do it right.
Yeah, I did a lesson a long time ago that kind of talked about how sometimes we feel like motion, like if we're in motion, then that's better. Like if I'm just doing something, and just doing something isn't always the answer, and it's not always the right answer. We feel like we've got to, hurry up and make some motion or movement or whatever. In the game, you do that, but we also kind of do that in life sometimes. It's like, I got to be responding in some way. I got to be doing something. And sometimes it's best to, what does God talk about? Be still and know that I'm God. The children of Israel, when Moses is bringing them out of Egypt and they get to the Red Sea, and all of a sudden they're, yelling at Moses, wondering what he needs to do. And what was God's message to them? just be still. Watch and watch what I'm going to do. And I think sometimes that deep breath and letting God work, that's a hard thing to learn sometimes, though.
And the voice you're listening to. Whose voice are you listening to? Are you hurrying yourself up? Are you listening to people who are good influences? Are you listening to people who are bad influences? You had people, picking on certain people. If I had a friend in the circle, I might go pick them in the middle because they're going to hear it first and a little easier reaction. And so you kind of saw that play out in having people in your camp, people that have influence on you. Are they good influence? Are they bad influence? And helping you make decisions.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of times in that split decision, as you were talking about, people are looking to see what's the other person doing, and they're following the lead of somebody else. And really, you have time to take a deep breath and think about what you're supposed to do. And I think, the moral of the story, if you will, for us, I think is, when we face trials, temptations, struggles of some sort.
Notice he said when.
When, because it's going to happen. It's not a if. When we face them, learning to lean on the Lord, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. And that usually takes us kind of taking a step back, thinking, praying, spending some time in the Word, talking to some people about it. I'm the world's worst of when I get an idea, I'm ready to roll with it. Like, let's just go. Let's put it all down on paper. Let's start, getting stuff
As
going.
They've probably noticed with us.
Yeah, because we kind of jump at stuff a lot. So it's always helpful when I run it by Travis or run it by someone else because it kind of makes me stop and back up a little bit and think about, hey, we need to slow our roll a little bit. So I think God wants us to do that. Step back.
Know your
pray
role,
a little bit.
You might say.
Know her role. Step back, pray, study it a little bit.
I think that's a lot of meekness, knowing that I'm either the person that's kind of trying to take leadership and guide people, or I'm the person that's the follower and trying to imitate. We should all be trying to imitate Jesus.
On the Helping Healing Humor podcast, we talk about anxiety and stress and its impact on our everyday lives. We know that finances, including planning for retirement, is one of the leading causes of stress. It can be confusing and overwhelming. There are differing opinions on the best approach. It can be hard to know who to trust. For our retirement planning, Whitney and I trust Greg Howell of Howell Wealth Management at Northwestern Mutual. Greg is professional, knowledgeable, and accessible. He looks at the whole picture and thinks outside the box to create ways to help you reach your financial goals. Retirement planning can be especially challenging for ministers who do not have the benefit of a 401k, but Greg's expertise and creativity can get you on the right path and give you confidence for the future. Text him to schedule your free 15-minute consultation today at 931-638-1576. Be sure to tell him Ben and Travis sent you. Remember, that's Greg Howell of Howell Wealth Management at Northwestern Mutual, 931-638-1576.
The lads to leaders question of the day. Ben, what are you taking from Maywood Christian Camp 2022, fourth week? What are you taking home with you?
A lot of dirty clothes.
I got a bunch. Haley came. That was
awesome.
Interesting. We were not counselors
for the first time.
So
ever.
I never even went up to David's Lodge. I never went on the hill.
No.
I went on the boys' hill maybe once or twice. But I think the thing I'm taking away is just seeing God work through young people. And I'm taking some energy back with me. Although I'm tired, you probably hear it in my voice. It's always the thing, even though my current truck battery is dead, my spiritual battery is jumped off, and we're off to the races again. And it's just so wonderful to be around young people loving on my kid that came with me. Haley has just had a blast, and it's really cool to see her getting some camp friends like we had growing up and renewing that and kind of seeing the legacy continue.
I think I would add to that. Part of that is that every year we get to be back with people who've meant a lot to us. And while the kids' faces often change, some of the kids have been coming since they were little. And I think Jackson, my son, was the oldest standing camper this year, probably along with Justice, once Justice got here a little bit later in the week. But I think Jackson, he is 17, but it's his 18th year, I believe, because he's been coming since he was a baby. And so before he was ever 1 year old, he was here. So that was pretty cool. But that's the second point of it, not just the relationships that we get to see each year kind of continue to grow, but that time is a thief.
Oh, man.
And, I still think I should be a camper. I still try to act like one.
Just the phrase 2022, Maywood Christian Camp 2022, kind of strikes that chord.
We were last campers in 1998, I believe, or 99.
I would have come.
99, I think.
Yeah, I would have come 99, 2000, somewhere in there. So, as you're listening to this, you may come to Maywood. There are several weeks. Maybe you have a place. We hope that you've got a place like Maywood that you can, if you don't get to go all the time, that you're able to look back on those memories. It encourages you, fires you up, lights a fire in you, recharges the batteries for your commitment to the Lord and your mental health and wherever you're at and whatever you're going through. We're thankful that this podcast is part of your weekly listening, and it would do us a lot of good, and hopefully those that you recommend it to, if you would do that. That's the one way podcasts get known, is telling a friend. So if you could do that for us, we would appreciate it. We love you. We appreciate all of you and what you mean to us. And we've kind of been not completely off the grid because I set up stuff before we came to Maywood, but we're ready to get back after it and encourage you and return the favor of what you do for us. So, Ben, appreciate your time here at camp. Did.
Always fun. And one thing that we're looking forward to doing too, it got kind of raw at camp. We got a lot of questions in the question and answer periods, and we got some comments that people kind of left when they either responded or just some different activities that happened. And so we have some of those, and we're going to probably use those in the future to kind of help us understand maybe what some people are struggling with and need to hear about. And so if you're just now tuning into the podcast, know that we're going to get to some of those discussions that may have arisen during camp, something that hopefully can bless your life, bless your kids' lives. And so just be listening for those.
And you can always send us topics at hello@benandtravis.com. We'd love to hear your input, what you'd like to hear us talk about, things you'd like for us to add, things that you'd like us to get rid of. We want to be the best that we can be for you and, of course, the Lord. So have a great week, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Transform is a word that describes what women do. We transform from sisters to best friends, from girlfriends to wives, from wives to mothers, mothers to grandmothers. Women are constantly evolving into a new role, a beautiful, challenging role. Much like our titles, our spiritual lives transform as well. While always a student of the Word, some are called to be teachers, mentors, servants, and disciples. Transform Ladies Conference aims to bless every phase of your Christian walk. Come join us October 14th through 16 in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for a delightful weekend full of truth, God's love, Christian fellowship, and fun. www.tlcladies.org. Contact JJ Davenport. info@tlcladies.org.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.